Israel's prime minister. I'm Jack Callahan, Fox News, talking about what Benjamin Netanyahu called the great issues before us, including the war in Gaza. National Security Council Communications Advisor John Kirby says he believes a ceasefire and hostage release deal is getting closer.
We want to get all the hostages home, clearly the Americans in particular. And that's why this deal is so important.
Israeli troops have raided a tunnel in Gaza on a recovery mission.
5 Israeli hostages who were killed on October 7th and held captive in Gaza ever since were rescued and returned home to Israel for burial.
Israeli military spokesman Admiral Daniel Hagari. Vice President Harris will meet separately with Prime Minister Netanyahu after returning from a speech to the Teachers Union Convention in Houston. The House of Representatives today passing a resolution condemning President Biden's immigration policies and Vice President Harris for failing to control the U.S. southern border.
The yeas are 220, the nays are 196. The resolution is adopted. Without objection, a motion to reconsider is laid upon the table.
6 Democrats joined 214 Republicans in voting for the resolution. Secret Service polishing security plans for next month's Democratic National Convention in Chicago.
When the Democratic National Convention gets underway on August 19th, the U.S. Secret Service says it will be a very secure area. Derek Meyer with the U.S. Secret Service in Chicago.
Our plan allows us to adjust for any possible scenario. Earlier this month, the Secret Service coordinated security for the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee and the NATO summit in Washington, D.C. These events were conducted in a secure environment.
The event comes with concerns for the Secret Service's abilities following the attack on former President Trump, a matter still under investigation.
Fox's Gernal Scott. America is listening to Fox News.
The doctor's office that mixed up your files has your Social Security number. The power company that mistakenly cut your service has your payment info and last 3 addresses. Your info is in endless places that could accidentally expose your info to identity theft. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second. If your identity's stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code CLAY at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
Gross domestic product grew again in the spring at a 2.8% pace in the second quarter, but mortgage rates increasing to 6.78% last week, according to Freddie Mac. A new survey suggests there may have been an ulterior motive for some companies to insist on ending working from home.
Bamboo HR reports a quarter of company VPs revealed they imposed return to office policies hoping to trigger voluntary turnover. 1 in 5 HR professionals admit their back-to-office policy was intended to make workers quit. Since about 28% of remote workers said they would consider quitting if their companies required them to come in every day, Bamboo suggests return-to-office mandates are really layoffs in disguise. The strategy backfired for 2 in 5 managers when more workers than expected came back, and they had to implement layoffs anyway. Nearly half of workers said after return-to-work orders, their workplaces suffered big talent losses. Therese Crowley, Fox News.
President Biden has signed into law a bill to strengthen oversight of the Federal Bureau of Prisons. The law establishes an independent ombudsman to field and investigate escapes, high-profile deaths, and complaints about sexual assaults and other criminal activity by prison staff. An operative allegedly working for the North Korean government has been charged with ransomware attacks in the U.S.
Federal prosecutors reveal a grand jury in Kansas City, Kansas has indicted Rim Jong-hyuk of conspiracy and conspiracy to commit money laundering, accused of hacking American healthcare providers, NASA, and military bases. Officials say in 2021, Rim and others hacked into the systems of a Kansas hospital, installing ransomware, also targeting hospitals in Arkansas and Florida, then using the ransom payments to fund other cyber attacks on defense and energy companies, including in China, Taiwan, and South Korea. Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
And I'm Jack Callahan. This is Fox News.
Hello again, everyone. Let's check weather for Central Illinois, Champaign, and Vicinity. And the showers and thunderstorms of yesterday afternoon, as expected, and some pretty good downpours in spots still lingering back to the west, shifting to the south. No real impact of significance for this morning. Cooler, drier settles on in for the next couple of days, but heat and humidity begin to ramp on up over the course of Sunday and early next week with a couple of thunderstorms. And still not done with a mid-summer spell of heat and humidity heading through the remainder of next week. But a nicer one today with a couple of spotty, sprinkly showers to the south of Champaign here, especially as we head through this morning. A mostly sunny afternoon, bit less humidity in the air at 82. Clear cooler tonight, 56. Sunny at 83 tomorrow. Light east wind up to 85 on a sun-filled Saturday. Partly sunny, more humidity working in on Sunday. That could breed a thunderstorm in late morning and more for the afternoon. With high around 87, close to 90 on Monday with a shower thunderstorm early. Another thunderstorm chance Tuesday. Nothing Wednesday, Thursday. Highs into the lower 90s. For Stevie J Broadcasting, I'm meteorologist Greg Solgay.
Hey, what's up? It's The Drive with Sam Piper, ESPN Radio 93.5. Derek Piper, Kyle Tosk, intern Jimmy Sebeski here as well. Big Ten Media Days finishing up there in Indianapolis. The last crop of teams to go today. Indiana, Maryland, Michigan, Minnesota, Oregon, and Washington. It's been essentially a week-long venture there to get all the teams cycled through over there at Lucas Oil Stadium. But football is upon us. That's exciting. Brett Bielema and company, as we've mentioned throughout the week, Sunday will be the start of their training camp, and we're about a month away from the opener, essentially, Illinois and Eastern Illinois. Then, of course, a big one in that second week against Kansas. I want to start here, Kyle and Jimmy. How you guys doing, by the way?
Doing all right. Fantastic.
You see the no-no by Dylan Cease?
Yeah, it's rare, man. That's only the second no-no this year. It's so rare to see a guy actually kept in. 103 pitches, got it done in 114.
Yep.
He's pretty. I never know what to make of him because he's so dominant when he's on. But
he's good. He's really
he goes
darn
through
good.
some stretches where he walks the world, and I don't know. I've always been a fan of Cease's. Obviously, former Cub that I wish that they didn't have to throw into that Jose Quintana trade, but I've always liked this game. He's dominant when he's pitching well.
No doubt. I want to talk a little bit more about that as we go along. The Padres may be a team we're not talking enough about in the National League. Dylan Cease has been on fire. What is that looking like for them? And I know Jimmy said pre-show that he's got some potential trades for the deadline and what those targets could look like, so we can definitely go through those as we go along. But I want to start on the football side, a storyline from Big Ten Media Days. No, it's not one that the national media is talking about, but it came across my radar when Jim Polzin of the Wisconsin State Journal had an article today about an Illinois and Wisconsin feud, as he says, inside the Wisconsin-Illinois football feud, and why Brett Bielema is not talking to Luke Fickell. I know everyone's pretty abreast of the situation, I think, and where this stems from. Wisconsin wins in Champaign, comeback fashion, 25-21 last year during October. That was the Johnny Newton targeting game. That was probably, I think, for some, the bigger reason why Illinois let that thing slip. Now, then the final dagger to the heart for Illinois was giving up the touchdown to an offensive lineman. He changes jerseys. He warms up in number 66. He ends up switching his uniform to number 92, and ultimately Illinois does not account for him. Would they have accounted for him anyway if he would have reported as eligible at a different number or whatnot? That's a conversation that we can dive into, or you can have your own opinions on. But Luke Fickell was asked about it, and Brett really, I think, the first and forefront part of this, why Luke Fickell's even being asked about it, is because Brett has not really let it go. There's been an update to the rule, or just an added emphasis to the rule that, hey, if you change jerseys, it's going to be a 15-yard penalty. If something like this gets caught in future games going forward, that is going to be a penalty, and obviously that play is not going to count. So Brett had a tweet about that. I know Robert Rosenthal of Illini Board pulled up the updated rule, and then Brett Bielema quote tweeted that and had something to say about it. He really hasn't let it go. It's really been sticking with him. I understand why. It's his former school. It's a squad that he could have beaten twice in a row here at Illinois, which would matter a lot in what was the Big Ten West and just as you push forward. But anyways, so Luke Fickell was asked on Tuesday about just some hard feelings that persist as far as Brett Bielema goes, and what Illinois has viewed that as. And, quote, this is what Luke said, "Is that why Brett won't talk to me?" Luke Fickell says. Brett Bielema was asked about it as well. He said that one pissed me off as far as the happenings in that game. And the article dives through the different happenings that led up to that play. And credit to Jim Polzin for the Wisconsin State Journal. He says, and there's further comments and quotes from Luke Fickell, who kind of passes off and at one point says that it was very unintentional. I would say it was very intentional. Yeah, it was very intentional. It was actually number 93, not number 92. But anywho, there was no reported change to the referee. There was the switch of the jersey. That offensive lineman warmed up in 66, then comes out of the locker room in 93.
Just to be clear, this was technically legal, though, as of last year. This was everything. Yeah. But was it? I'm asking. Because I know they clarified that rule now heading into this year, saying you have to report number-wise. But I think technically everything about the play was legal, even if it was kind of loophole-ish and with the intent to deceive Illinois.
I don't know if I've really heard of something like that ever happening, like where you're changing numbers. Because I always thought the only thing that mattered was where you lined up, and if you line up, where you're not supposed to, you have to report eligible as a receiver, or else you can't. Because you could have a wide receiver be number 65, right? That doesn't. It's not like the NFL or how it used to be. In college, you could be. If you just line up that guy on the outside, he's not illegal.
I guess since 93 is technically, correct me if I'm wrong, an eligible number, he didn't have to report, right?
Is that what it was?
I'm guessing.
Whereas if he was in 66, he would have had to.
He would have had to report.
But he started the game and was listed on Illinois' sheet as 66. Yeah. So that's kind of where there's a gray area there of technically by the book legal, but then the whole